Hi guys, in this two-part tutorial we're going to look at the Quantise settings and how you can use them to match your style of looping. In part 1 I'm going to look at the default settings, and then in part 2 I'm going to switch them all off. So here we've got two muted tracks. Watch what happens when I select one and I press toggle. So you see that the toggle doesn't happen immediately. Instead, I get this yellow outline, and then when the loop wraps around, it actually toggles. And similarly for muting, I got a grey outline, and when it wrapped around, it actually toggled. So this is what we mean by quantizing. The toggle event has been quantized or snapped to a point in the future, in this case when the loop wraps around. So we call the pending action the action that's going to happen at some point in the future. And the first tip is, if you want the pending action to happen immediately, you can just tap the track control again. So watch this for toggling. Once and again. And the second time I press it, the pending action immediately takes effect. Another tip with toggle quantize, if I select more than one track, it's going to use the longest selected track as the reference to toggle all of the other tracks. In that case, it's going to use this one and toggle them both when this longer one wraps around. So that's toggle quantize. Record in quantize applies when I'm going to start recording a new track, and it uses the longest playing track, or else if you don't have any playing, the longest muted track, as the reference. And when that wraps around, in that case this one here, when this wraps around, the recording will begin. So you see this one comes in and the recording begins. But if I unmuted this one, which is a shorter track, then this would become the longest playing track, and so that would be the reference for when the recording would start. Then we've got record length quantize, and that allows you to select a track as well as an empty track, and it'll use the longest selected track as a length reference, and it'll make the new recording the same length as the reference. So in this case, it's going to start recording when this wraps around, and then it's going to make a recording of the same length. Wraps around, and then it's going to make, and then it automatically starts playing. Lastly, we've got record out quantize, and this applies when you've got an open-ended recording. So if I haven't got a length reference, this is going to keep growing in length. But when I press rec or toggle, instead of stopping immediately and just playing, it will record out the end of the natural length of this loop. So if I press toggle now, you can see it's going to record out the end of this natural length and then start playing. This is going to keep growing in length. So those are the four options. Toggle quantize uses the longest selected loop to toggle all of the selected loops. Record in uses the longest playing loop, or else the longest muted loop, as the reference for when to start recording the new track. Record length uses the longest selected track and makes your newly recorded track the same length as that. And finally, record out uses the currently recording track and records out the natural remainder of it. So the easiest way to get familiar with those is just to play around with them. Watch out for part 2 when I switch off all of those settings and show you some of the cool things you can do. Thanks for watching.